4:21 Eastern, Friday, October 3rd. Glad to be with you guys. Welcome inside the channel. I'm Bobby Trosset. As always, this is where I bring you Baltimore sports and beyond. Injury reports. The final injury reports of this week just dropped, and we got a lot to discuss as a result because the Ravens are going to be without several key players and will also be in wait-and-see mode for several others, meaning they've been listed as questionable. So lots to get to over the course of the next hour or so. The guest lines are open. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Hit that notification bell. Mina has made a suggestion, maybe even apply the slightest bit of pressure on Eric DeCosta in terms of how she feels like he could go about the trade deadline, which is coming up in over a month from now. So, yeah, there's a lot to get to. And Cam Newton had some interesting comments on life without Lamar Jackson as well. So, without further ado, here is your instant reaction to the final injury report that just dropped a couple minutes ago. And I better take a big, deep breath in here because this is going to be a lot. Okay, in total, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 players. 6 players have been ruled out. Chido Awuzie with a hamstring. He's been CB3, if you will, a DNP all week long. He's going to miss his first game as a Raven. And I think he's been actually one of the lone bright spots in what has otherwise been a really inconsistent secondary. Kyle Hamilton with a groin. He's listed as questionable. One of 4 questionable designations. Okay, that groin popped up in the Chiefs game. It was not a practice. That's what John Harbaugh talked about during his press conference earlier this afternoon. So Kyle will be questionable. They need him, and they need him desperately. They desperately need him. And I am going to have to cut to some breaking news right now from the Ravens. And this is not news that, oh man, this is terrible news from the Ravens here. And let me just go ahead and pull this up and quickly react. And I'll just cut away briefly. I hope you guys don't mind. Oh, man, you got to be kidding me. The Ravens just announced that Arthur Jones has passed away. Oh, my gosh. Holy crap. Oh, man. Arthur Jones, he was with the organization from 2010 to 2013 as a Super Bowl champion. He's a Super Bowl champion. He was 39 years old. Young. 39 years young. Oh, my goodness. Wow. This just came out in the timeline. Holy crap. Oh, Ravens organization tweeting out. I'm processing this with you guys. This is terrible. I'll read their statement that they just released from Eric DeCosta. We are terribly saddened to learn of Arthur Jones' sudden passing. Arthur's presence was a gift to everyone he encountered. His big, bright smile, infectious energy, and eternal positivity created a presence that continuously uplifted others. He was kind, courteous, and enthusiastic, always displaying a love for family, teammates, and friends. We send our deepest condolences to the Jones family and all who loved Arthur. Oh, my goodness. Wow. Arthur was a 5th-round pick out of Syracuse in 2010. Had a heck of a collegiate career. He was a 2-time first-team All-Big East defensive tackle. He went on to play for the Colts after Baltimore and then finished up in Washington in 2017. 6'3", 320. Beast. Awesome dude. This was obviously before my time when I was actively and year-round covering the Ravens, but having been around the building and the radio stations, I got to know Arthur from afar and obviously had a tremendous amount of admiration and respect for what he accomplished in Baltimore. 39 years young is the aspect of this that you just can't get over. So again, Arthur Jones gone at 39 Ravens just tweeted this out a short while ago. A Super Bowl champion from the 2012 team. He spent 2010 to 2013 in Baltimore, and that is just a darn shame. Lost a good one. Lost a good one for sure. And Captain Hard weighing in. This game is for Arthur this weekend. Sorry. Close the blinds. And it was a clap. It wasn't a hit. It was a clap, so everybody knows. Never put your hand on a dog. Captain Hard says this game is for Arthur this weekend. Gone but never forgotten. Hashtag flock together. This has been a terrible week for the Ravens. Shaking my head. Man, if you're just tuning in, Arthur Jones, former defensive tackle, won a Super Bowl with the Ravens in the 2012 season. Gone far, far too soon at 39. Rest in peace to Arthur Jones. Prayers and thoughts and everything else out there for the Jones family and everybody that was close to him, including those in the Ravens organization. So did not plan, obviously, on starting the live stream this way, but that's what happens when the timeline comes down the way that it did. So again, a Syracuse legend, a Ravens legend, Super Bowl champion, gone far, far too soon to start off this live stream. Best wishes to the family, friends, and everybody that came into contact with Arthur Jones throughout his 39 years. Thanks for the super chat, Captain Hard. And now it's always very difficult to transition, obviously, with these circumstances. I do have some content for you related to this injury report, and I was about 2 names into it when that news came down. So no Cheeto. Kyle is questionable. Marlon Humphrey, as we've known for a few days since those reports dropped, Marlon is out. Lamar is out. Emory Jones Jr., of course, is in the middle of his 3-week ramp-up, having been activated from the NFI list just earlier this week. Travis Jones, no designation. So that's a positive, right? The fact that Kyle Hamilton was not listed as out, was not ruled out, I should say, is a positive. The second positive is that Travis Jones is good to go. He was upgraded to a full participant after being limited the first 2 days of this week with a knee. He missed this past week in Kansas City, and they're going to need everything they can and everything they can get from big Travis Jones in the middle. It's not like this offense scares you or overwhelms you through 4 weeks. They've really kind of sputtered out of the gates, to be honest with you, but they do have a young player in Woody Marks and somebody that is trying to resurrect his career off of multiple injuries in Nick Chubb, who are capable of being a 1-2 punch. So Travis will obviously be a run stuffer specialist if he's healthy in the middle. That's going to require a lot of attention and typically double team type of attention. Tyler Linderbaum, this is also a positive sign here. With the calf, he was limited on Wednesday. He's good to go. No designation. He's ready to roll. Odafe Owe, he was limited on Thursday, full participant on Friday. He's questionable with an eye. Adafe's obviously had a very disappointing start to his contract season. This is the final year of his contract. He's a contract player. It's an expiring contract, coming off a double-digit sack campaign, and obviously is underperforming given what the expectations are for him, not only in a contract year, but also coming off his first double-digit sack campaign. Pat Ricard's going to miss a fifth consecutive week, with a calf. Roquan ruled out. Same timeline perhaps as Marlon the next few weeks, next couple weeks. Hopefully both those guys will have a chance to return after the bye. Ronnie Stanley listed as questionable with that ankle. Brent Urban, he's good to go. Kyle Van Noy, good to go. No designation. He's missed the last couple weeks. That's important for their edge presence. Devontae Walker, questionable. He was upgraded to full with that oblique. And Nate Wiggins, maybe the most important part of this puzzle defensively, just given how stout he's played this year or how reliable he's been. Man, that was a car crash type of wreck that he was in with Isaiah Pacheco that forced him to leave the game, would not return on Sunday. Elbow is what he's popped up on this injury report with. But again, No designation. Good for him. I'm sure a lot of these guys that are going to try and give it a go, perhaps Kyle Hamilton in the midst of that group, are going to be gutting it out just to give themselves a chance and give this team, most importantly, a chance. As for the Houston perspective, he ain't the general John McClain, but I feel like he's worthy of at least what's the next in command or just below. Friend of the program, especially when we're in the off season, running around Indianapolis, Indiana, or perhaps this year, Santa Clara, California, is the great Cody Stutes to give me some Houston Texans perspective. Good to see you, my friend.
Buddy, it's great to be seeing you and talking to you a little about football and actual games being played and not guys running around in their underwear in the combine like when we typically see each other. Man, I feel like I've been reading War and Peace looking at this injury report.
Well, what a start to this live stream. I've only been live for about 12 minutes, and a former member of the Ravens Super Bowl team passes the second I start. And the Ravens announced that, Arthur Jones, which is tragic. And then, again, not just as tragic. I would never compare the two. But in a different sense, this injury report that you're seeing is tragic. It's 15 players deep. I just ran through them all. So we don't need to dive into that anymore. We can in different ways, talking about the game and whatnot. But I'm curious to see, now that you have the Texans' final injury report, what you think is most notable and relevant going in.
I mean, obviously not having Lamar gives the Texans a shot. If Lamar was playing, I don't care what the defensive situation is for the Ravens. If Lamar was playing, I would say that the Ravens are going to win this. With no Lamar, gives the Texans a shot. I got some respect for Cooper Rush, probably one of the 7 or 8 best backups in all of football. Like when you think about the resume, what he's showcased when he has played, it's a small group of guys that are better than him for sure that you would say, yeah, absolutely, that guy's better. So he's going to get the ball out quick, which that's kind of the Achilles heel for this Texans defense sometimes is that quick game. Doesn't let them get the pass rush really get rolling. And I think they're going to be able to run the football a little bit on the Texans. But you know this as well as I do. Sometimes these guys, they downplay some of the history. I think Christmas is front and center with these guys. I think they got embarrassed at Christmas, and I think they're mad about it. And I know the defense has said a couple of different times, we want an old school physical football game. It's like, okay, so are you ready? You say that, but are you ready for Derrick Henry coming down the open spot in the offensive line? Like, are you ready for it? And I liked what Azeez Al-Shire, the linebacker for the Texans, had to say. He's a train. You got to stand on the tracks and stop that train. I was like, okay, all right. Like you can say all you want, and I think the coaches have downplayed Christmas. Didn't matter. The players were mad about Christmas, and they were mad they got embarrassed, and that's front and center for them. And so I'm pretty excited to see what the Texans defense can do against the Ravens offense, because it's going to be key on Derrick Henry. 2 years ago, when DeMeco Ryans didn't have to worry about the quarterback and he keyed on Derrick Henry had 2 of his worst games ever against the Houston Texans. Now, Cooper Rush completes a couple passes here and there, gets the secondary to back off a little bit with a deep shot here and there. Okay, but Derrick Henry might have some lanes, might get some things going. The really, to me, Bobby, the way I look at this thing, if the Texans go out there and shoot themselves in the foot on offense, they lose. If they cobble it together on offense, they win. That's really how I look at this. Like, I don't think this is going to be a high-scoring affair by any means. So, it might be a race to 20. It might be a race to 19 to see who can win this. But it really, I look at this, and I don't want to simplify it, but if the Texans stay out of their way on offense, they should be able to win this football game.
Well, hey, shout out to one of your former listeners, Johnny Hewitt says, who used to catch you on Houston radio. And now look at all of us, me, yourself, Jake Asman. We all started our careers, or at least spent a decent chunk of our careers in radio, and look at us now. So, Johnny, thanks for being with us. And everybody welcome Cody Stutes, friend of the program, to the program for the first time. So you mentioned the quick game. And by the way, not to bring up, a sore topic, but you went down the analogy of the train tracks. And if you go back to past games where Houston's had to deal with Derrick Henry when he was a member of the Titans, these tracks go miles and miles long because it has been nothing short of, and granted, you mentioned a couple of those games, and I did look at the game logs as well, and I was okay, there have been a couple outliers in the midst of these 15 games career-wise, but the overwhelming majority, as you see on the screen here, has heavily favored Derek, his downhill running, his explosiveness, the yards per carries over 5, 13 rushing touchdowns is astronomical against one team in 15 games. So you get the point. But I'm really curious about this defensive front. You got some household names, right, that have quickly kind of risen to the ranks if you're Will Anderson Jr., right? Other guys as well that have been around longer, like the Danielle Hunters. But let's say Cooper does get the ball out of his hands quickly. Can you talk to me about level 2? Because that's I don't know much about level 2 in Houston with this defense, and I assume that Aziz Al-Shaair is going to be there waiting. You already mentioned a quote of his. Is he going to be able to bang with some of these intermediate passing attack routes that the Ravens, I'm sure, are going to lean on early?
Yeah, you got to win intermediate and you got to win over the middle because you're not winning outside. Derek Stingley's going to play. He's good to go. I mean, you'd have to cut his arm off to keep him off the football field. Like he's playing through everything. So Stingley's going to play, and then Kamari Lassiter on the other side's he's not Derek Stingley good, but he's damn good. You know, he was one of the best rookie corners in football last year and had a little bit of a slow start this year, but I think the Titans game kind of turned the corner, kind of clicked for him. And then they got rid of C.J. Gardner-Johnson through 3 weeks.
Yes, they did.
He's busting coverages, not doing what he's supposed to do, and they replaced him with MJ Stewart. And so, Stewart and Kalen Bullock, a couple of the linebackers, and then I tell you where you got to pay a lot of attention is Jalen Petrie. Around the line of scrimmage, Petrie can help you a lot if you're the Texans defense. When he gets picked on in coverage, you can really get after Jalen Petrie when you start throwing the football at him. So he's their nickel guy. They really don't play 3 linebackers much. They might in this matchup just to be ready for Derrick Henry. Okay. But they like to play a lot of 2 linebacker with Petrie on the field as sort of a smaller linebacker. I mean, he even said a couple weeks ago in an in-house, team video that he considers himself a linebacker. He's listed as a safety, but he plays nickel and he doesn't cover well. And so if you can exploit him, you get some success with the tight ends out of the slot or some slot receiver success. You can get after Petrie a little bit. And once you kind of back off those guys in the secondary, it opens things up for Derrick Henry. And then I still think, Cooper Rush is going to take a shot. Like it's not like he's going to throw everything, under 10 yards. He's got to be able to take a shot here and there with some of these guys. So it's going to be intriguing. I mean, I do wonder if it sort of like this part of the playbook's not accessible with Cooper Rush, but you can still execute good football with him to the point where, okay, kick some field goals, you get a bust, you get a big play, you put some touchdowns on the board. And again, the Texans are not going to light the scoreboard up on offense. So it's not going to take a ton of points to beat them. It's just you got to score those points. And, if Derrick Henry doesn't get going, I don't think Cooper Rush is dicing up the secondary.
No, I wouldn't think so. Mostly because not that again, to your point, not that he's not capable of playing in the vertical game. I just don't think, unlike he had the luxury of in Dallas, that this offensive line is going to hold up. I mean, they got their fair share of injuries. There's not a lot of continuity. The guard play is among the worst in the league, and they really have regressed overall as a unit. Cody, I want to play a clip here from Cam Newton earlier today on ESPN because this right now, I think this perfectly summarizes the state of the now Lamar Jackson-less Ravens. And if you're just tuning in, we've got Cody Stutz for his Houston perspective on right now. Lamar Jackson has officially been ruled out of this game. He's one of 6 that have. There's others that are questionable, and then there's others that are good to go with no designations attached to them, like Travis Jones, which is a win for the Ravens. So here is Cam Newton's comments. We'll react to him on the other side.
One thing that I do know, I'm going to use this prefix word of breaking because they're at a breaking point in their season. Breaking is what I will continue to use because they're either going to break down or they're going to break out. And if they do not have Lamar Jackson in this particular game coming up, I think that will be a positive. And I say it in this way. It's almost like watching the Baltimore Ravens that they're waiting on everybody else to make the play. And that's including sometimes Lamar Jackson waiting on Derrick Henry to make a play. Hey, Derrick Henry's waiting on Zay Flowers to make a play. Hey, Zay Flowers is waiting on D-Hop to make a play. Hey, the defense is waiting on Jair Alexander to make a play. Hey, they're waiting on Nate Wiggins to make a play. Hey, they're waiting on everybody else to make a play outside of each individual making those plays. So I kind of share the same sentiment as RC, but the reality is it's like, when are we going to figure it out amongst ourselves as Baltimore Ravens players? And that's what everybody is waiting on. So if Lamar Jackson does not play, now it puts the onus on everybody to say, hey, we don't have the great Lamar Jackson. Everybody has to uphold their end of the bargain. And that type of play is what we've been waiting on all year.
All right. So the reason why I play that, one is because it's Cam, and anytime Cam says something, one, it's usually polarizing. Two, for the most part, it usually has some level of credibility behind it. And I think there's a lot to be said about that because of how much they've leaned and been bailed out by Lamar Jackson over the years. He is so great that I think his level of play can minimize certain deficiencies on really both sides of the ball. And so anyway, this is where they are right now, Cody, like just to kind of catch you up to speed on what's going on in Baltimore. This is a defining moment, not to define John Harbaugh's legacy, but in the here and now. The calls are loud and they are widespread for him to be canned. The underperformance in January, dating all the way back to 10 years ago at this point, and it's over 10 years now since that Super Bowl run. There's plenty of them going around, and I think it's the loudest maybe it's ever been certainly throughout the Lamar era. Let's say that.
Sure.
So I got to ask you, one, do you think that the Ravens are vulnerable right now from your perspective on the outside looking in? And two, you think Houston gives a shit about that?
Yeah. So that's, again, I think there are definitely opportunities throughout the schedule. And we watched one last night. I think we watched the Rams sleepwalk into a game where they thought they were going to kick the 49ers in the teeth and the 49ers were going to stay down. And I would tell you that there would have been a chance that happens with the Texans in this matchup. Oh, no Lamar, no Matabike, no Humphrey, no Smith. Kyle Hamilton's got a groin injury. Like, I would have thought that would have been the case. It could have happened for the Texans in this matchup if Christmas didn't happen. But I think the fact that the players were like, and D'Amico Ryans at the podium, not a big deal. We don't pick up right where Christmas left off. Azeez Al-Shire, nope, we remember Christmas. Will Anderson, nope, we remember Christmas. Like, CJ Stroud, yeah, no, we remember it. We remember it. Like, they did not like getting embarrassed on national TV on Christmas. They didn't.
Did their PR team have everybody on the same page or what?
Yeah, right. Well, and they did this last year. Oh, it's no big deal. The Buffalo's coming to town. No big deal. Oh, Stephon doesn't care. Oh, Stephon Diggs. It doesn't matter. The Buffalo's the opponent this week. They finished the game. Yeah, we had to put on for Stephon Diggs. Yeah, we won that one for Stephon. So they can say everything they want, Monday through Saturday. Sunday, when they're breaking it down, I don't know how many of your audience is familiar with Texas history. Texas gained its independence on the rally cry, "Remember the Alamo." They're hitting the stadium on Sunday with "Remember Christmas," fellas.
Yeah,
and go get some payback here. So right. I think that matters. And yeah, you definitely see a wounded animal. You don't want them to be dangerous, though. I think there's any ex-pro will tell you when you've been on the depth chart and now it's your turn, there's a little bit of extra juice to it, and that's a positive to an extent. Until everybody's got too much juice and they're making mistakes and they're trying to do too much. And then you're like, oh, okay. Like the starters are usually the starters because they know exactly when to press the gas and they know when to press the brake and they know everything that needs to be known about the defense and situations. And then you get some backups in there and all of a sudden it's not quite as crisp and they're not quite in the right spot. They're not quite as fast or strong or catch the ball as well or as reliable or this or that. And it's like it just kind of builds up over 4 quarters to where look, last week was about style points for the Texans. They needed to show something on offense against the Titans. I don't think they care about this one because you go in there, you beat the Ravens. You don't care what version of the Ravens you beat the Ravens.
Yeah.
And look, I'm sitting here in Houston. They are a couple of nice games on their schedule away from getting this thing right and being right back in the hunt and being right there in the AFC playoff picture with you down the road. And you got to be thinking about, hey, you want a tiebreaker over these guys.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what their situation was. You need that tiebreaker in that head-to-head if they're going to be in the wild card with you. Now, I still think they got a shot to take the AFC North. I mean, but they're going to have to get healthy. They're going to have to get some of these guys back.
Yeah.
So that's not the team. They're, the potential AFC North champions. That's not who they're playing on Sunday. That's not who the Texans are playing on Sunday. They're playing a lightened version of that. And so, yeah, you got to take advantage of this. You don't get, and look, the Texans had a crappy start to the season. So you don't get a gift like this very often. You take it when you get it.
They're playing a team, just to be clear on who they're playing. They're playing a team that could potentially have a rookie wearing the green dot device, communication-wise, relaying signals to all 3 levels. But I get the sense that Kyle's going to try and gut this thing out if he's questionable, so don't quote me on that. But could be having a rookie with the green dot device, okay, is down. Every single level of the defense is down at least a starter.
Yep.
So you're going to have practice squad call-ups. You're going to have undrafted rookies playing meaningful snaps. And we haven't even gotten to the offensive side of the ball yet without the should-be reigning MVP out there. So I'll get you out of here on this, though. And it's just a close look at what's gone wrong offensively so that we know, and my audience knows, what these second, third stringers are going to be going up against in a group that doesn't really rank all that impressively through 4 weeks. And I'm just curious where CJ is in his junior year, if you will, because there was clearly a sophomore slump. And from what my understanding is, a lot of that was due to the protection or lack thereof up front. So statistically speaking, Houston comes in as the 25th overall ranked offense.
That high.
They're 23rd on the ground, 23rd against the, 23rd through the air, 29th in scoring, 31st on third down, 5th on fourth down, and 31st inside the 20s. So, one, where is CJ Stroud? A lot was made of those comments of him looking back at his tape. I didn't make much of that. I'm sure that shit was taken out of context.
It was.
Yeah,
he was laughing and joking about it.
Classic. And sure enough, all the graphics to take the one little bit, right, that he's questioning who he is and what he does, and I hate that. And then 2, so where is CJ at this point in his evolution? And 2, what's the main reason why they've come out scuffling offensively?
They came out offensively with a lot of the issues that showed up last year. Uncreative offense, made mistakes on offense on early downs, couldn't overcome those. Stroud was missing throws. He wasn't consistent. I think for CJ, there's a lot of challenges that I feel like he's put on his shoulders. And the scariest thing about him is I think they're trying to coach out some of the stuff that made him really fun in 2023.
Ooh.
I think last year was a lot of overcoaching, and I think this year started with some overcoaching, just trying to do too much with the guy and not letting him go out there and kind of gunsling. He's been a little hesitant. He's been a little gun shy. He hasn't stood in the pocket and taken hits like he did in 2023. Now, last week against Tennessee, we saw more 2023 CJ. Stood in the pocket, took some hits, was smart with the football, but still took some risks throwing the football. And really, they had a 2nd and 33 because of 2 penalties. The 2nd and 33 deep in their own territory, and he hit Nico Collins down the sideline for 38 yards. And from that moment on, the offense just clicked. And CJ likened it to a play in 2023 where he hit a big play to Tank Dell against Jacksonville in week 3, and he goes, I understood it then. Like we got it as an offense. Like we got it. Something clicked. We turned the corner. We understood it. And he said he feels like that Nico play could be a similar thing where they got it. Well, they went on and scored 3 touchdowns in the 4th quarter after that play. And, it was 2 rookies scoring all the touchdowns. It's Woody Marks on the ground and through the air, and then Jaden Higgins on a play that had motion, which we hadn't seen enough of in the first 3 weeks, a check at the line of scrimmage to the correct play, which we hadn't seen enough of in the first 3 weeks, and then a rookie wide receiver out of the slot who hadn't played the slot a bunch in the first 3 weeks. So a lot of the stuff that was missing for the first 3 weeks showed up there eventually in that fourth game against the Tennessee Titans, who stink. We all understand the caveat that they're not any good. But for the Texans to see it, have it kind of be like, oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like, that's what it's supposed to look like, that was a good job. This offensive line's got to protect. I know the Ravens are down guys. Guys you've never heard of were giving the offensive linemen work in week 1 and week 2, and even sometimes in week 3. Like,
you ain't going to have that issue. All right. You're not going to be going up and looking up terminology and player backgrounds. Listen, maybe I'll be wrong, and I'm happy to be wrong in a few days from now. But I get the sense you're not going to have that issue this week, Cody.
Well, if CJ has time, he's going to dissect some people. But because putting him on a clock or making him try to improvise, he doesn't have a lot of good scramble guys with him. That was 2023 as well. He had guys that could play off script with him. Tank Dell, Noah Brown. He didn't have guys that are quite clicking off script with him just yet. So that's something to pay attention to if he does kind of get off script. He uses his legs a little bit more. So he'll rush for, 20 or so yards, 25 yards in this one. Just sneak one out. If you give him the room on the goal line, he'll sneak one out the backside and try to run it in. But if he can get into a rhythm quick, he needs a big play early to get into that rhythm. He gets into the rhythm, it could be a long day for that Ravens depleted defense. But if the Texans are in their Texans way early, all their mistakes fold in on each other. They make mistakes, and then they throw short of the sticks, and then they punt, and then the defense gets it back real quick, and then they go out there and they make more mistakes, and it just kind of folds and builds on itself. So if the Texans get the bazooka out and point it straight down, the Ravens got a shot in this one. And if the Texans' aim is true with the bazooka, they should walk out with their first win against the Ravens in a long time.
All right, brother, you heard it here first. Let everybody know where they can find your work leading up to this one, because sometimes our audience likes to familiarize themselves with the opponent. So let us know.
Houston Football, Cody Stutes is my individual channel. I also do a channel called SNL Texans Talk with a colleague of mine. So, we get you caught up. And for a team like the Ravens, I show the proper amount of respect to the logo and the laundry. The Titans last week, no respect. No respect for the laundry and the logo. But for the Ravens, I get it. It's an organization that deserves a little respect. So I'm pretty respectful to those guys. Not so much to some of the other opponents.
Yeah, I can concur too. We've been together at these NFL events. I mean, you keep it nice and down the middle. I like that. I try. I look forward to Santa Clara adventures, my brother.
Yeah, let's do it, man. Let's do it. It'd be good. Thanks for having me on, man. And keep rocking and keep doing your thing. And it's awesome to watch from afar. And the folks are lucky to have you rocking on this Ravens stuff. So
appreciate you, man. Have a great weekend, Cody. Thanks for doing it.
See you, brother.
Later. Cody Stutes, again, the Houston football perspective, and I appreciate his time. And I know things were a little bit off kilter here, right? The live stream is titled Comments Made by Mina Kimes related to the upcoming trade deadline, which is tomorrow. The Arthur Jones passing, which was tragic and totally unexpected, came out right as I was starting my live stream. Then I needed to get back to the injury report. Then Cody came on, which was unexpected. So apologies for taking 30-plus minutes to get to the lead. I'm getting there in just a second. I got to get a read in first. We'll continue to go to the guest lines as well. They are open now that Cody, my guest, has finished up his segment. So you can click on the link if you'd like to share a thought with me on this Friday related to anything. Cam Newton's comments, the injury report, Arthur's passing. I know I saw a super chat on that. Will Jones says the whole Jones family is going through it. John with his legal troubles. His brother Chandler, who has had his mental health issues and was cut from the Raiders. I forgot that. Now we have no clue, Will, and I'm not saying that you're suggesting there was any kind of foul play or anything like that related to Arthur's passing. We don't know. We have no clue. But best wishes out to the Jones family. There is a lot going on, to your point, but nothing's worse than tragedy like we just learned of earlier within the hour or so. So thanks to you guys for being here. Let me get a read in, and then let's talk about Mina Kimes' thoughts on, again, the trade deadline is 1 month from tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. And you know the Ravens better be swimming in those waters, because they need help, and they need help now. ProfitX is America's #1 sports prediction market. And guys, Right now, if you go to profitx.co and you use code BobbyB, that's BOBBYB, you'll get up to $200 in profit cash on all your plays for the first 30 days. Okay, you're going to get better odds there than traditional sports books because you're playing against others, not the house. You can request your own odds, play with confidence, and get super fast payouts straight to your bank, card, or even crypto. If you go to profitx.co, which I'm about to right now, just to take a look if anything's changed related to this Ravens spread and what's coming up on Sunday. And let's make sure we toggle over to the National Football League. Let's see. The 1 o'clock slate, of course, it's in Baltimore and still. Let's see. The last time I checked, and they still are, Houston is 1-point favorites. The Ravens are home underdogs without Lamar Jackson, who, again, was officially ruled out of this contest just within the last hour or so. The over-under is set at 40, and that right there is profitx.co, one of the many games that you can check out. First half props and player, you name it. I mean, there's a bunch of different player props to choose from. Go-to plays, first half touchdown scores, first touchdown, pass props, passing attempts. Endless amounts of way to have a little bit of fun coming into week 5 of this NFL season. So thanks to ProfitX and thanks to all of you guys for being here. Now, let's get to Mina Kimes' thoughts. She recently sat down with Ryan Fitzpatrick and Andrew Whitworth on their podcast and talked a little bit about the current state of this Ravens defense. And being that we are just 1 month out from the deadline, I feel like it's time to start having these conversations.
I think losing Madubuike for the entire season is just so brutal. Because it's no one else is walking through that. This already was a really schemed up pass rush, you guys know, and like there's no other answers on the roster, really. I mean, Van Noy will be back. We'll see if Mike Green takes a step. It kind of feels like they have to make a trade at a defensive tackle. Maybe one of the New York teams, or I don't know if Jeff Simmons might be available. That would be something I'd go to. They'll get healthier in the secondary. They'll get healthier at linebacker. But yeah, they also just look like so fundamentally unsound. You see busted coverages all over the place. They're still trying stuff. It's not working the way it used to.
No, it is not. And as a result, hopefully the Ravens will be active between now and, again, a month from tomorrow when this deadline expires. Quote, it kind of feels like they may have to make a trade at defensive tackle. Mina Kimes. Maybe one of the New York teams. I don't know if a Jeff Simmons might be available. That would be something I'd go to. Of course, Jeffrey Simmons. And again, we're focusing on teams that will probably be selling at the deadline, right? Meaning they won't be relevant in the postseason conversation. I would think both New York teams, even though Jackson Dart looked pretty darn good in his first week, being that Malik Neighbors is down with a terrible injury and the Jets are going nowhere fast, I would suspect that both those teams will be sellers. And I would suspect that if the Ravens can at least win one of their next 2 games, that they will want to be buyers to try and make a second half push, assuming that Lamar can get back, coming back from this hamstring setback. So she mentioned Jeff Simmons. Jeff, of course, is the longtime Tennessee Titan. I think we can probably all agree that the Titans, as Cody Stutes just talked about, are going nowhere fast. Simmons is a former first rounder in 2019. He's been an absolute stud for them. 2-time second team All-Pro, 3-time Pro Bowler, just a beast for them at the defensive tackle position. Now, again, you heard her say the 2 New York teams. Now, I checked in with my buddy and friend of the show, Jake Asman, about the Jets side of things. And I asked him, let's see. I said, which New York defensive tackles would be available at the deadline? He's like, not Quinnen. So Quinnen Williams. He says, not Quinnen. I said, all right, well, what about one who'd be more realistic? He says, maybe Harrison Phillips. But they just acquired him, and he's emerged as a team leader, so I don't know if they would deal him. Okay? So I can't really speak to the Jets side of the equation, but I do know that there would be 2 attractive candidates for the Giants if they are indeed in selling mode. Okay? Yeah, and you're right, Ashley. Maybe the Titans, given their history of dealing with the Ravens and their recent history, wouldn't be willing to deal or help the Ravens in any any form or fashion. That might be the case. And I know what comes to mind. I'm already seeing it in the live chat right now related to Jeffrey Simmons and some of his antics. Remember, Marshall Yonda alleges that Jeffrey Simmons, in what became Marshall's final game in the National Football League, which was that horrific divisional round game back in January of 2020, he alleges that Jeffrey Simmons spat in his face. Okay? Like, I recognize that. It's the first thing I think of when I think of Jeff Simmons. I also recognize what he could do for the Ravens. And they're in do or die mode right now. And so I wonder if cooler heads prevail. I don't know. Maybe Marshall's somewhere out in Iowa right now being like, fuck that. I'll retire. I'll come out of retirement. No, you won't. You look like a freaking slot receiver at this point because of his workout regimens. And I think he's done it with biking. But you know what I mean. They need help, and they desperately need help as soon as possible. The other two that you see on the screen is Dexter Lawrence and Kayvon Thibodeau, two defensive standouts for the New York Giants. If they are selling, then maybe, just maybe, Eric DeCosta gets on the phone with one of these guys. Obviously, the contractual part of where they're at and the monetary side of things, that's a conversation for another day. But just to get things going, knowing that tomorrow is 1 month out to the deadline, I felt like I wanted to share Mina's sentiments there. And I think we probably all share them, that there is nobody coming to save this defense. I don't think no one player can. But if you can, over the next few weeks, start to get a little healthier, you can weather the storm with Cooper Rush magic and rush hour once over the next 2 weeks and go into the bye, use that 10-day period as healing power, and come back and smack the Bears off the bye. John Harbaugh is routinely, historically dominant in weeks coming out of the bye week. Hopefully Lamar will be able to go by then. Oh, and by the way, you go get a guy, like a legit guy, like one of the guys that you see on the screen, and maybe, just maybe, collectively, you can start to patchwork this thing back into place to make a second half run. That's where I'm at. Where are you guys at? Two guys that are in the waiting room right now were sitting there for what felt like 40 plus minutes yesterday, and they were very upset with me. I could tell by their body language that I had to go. I had to go to Barcelona Wine Bar in Tampa for a date. That's right. A second date, I might add. Anyway, reactions to everything I've discussed right now. The guest lines are open. I appreciate you guys for being with me on this Friday. Over 800 concurrents. If you could on the way in, like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell. Consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. Whether you want to send your condolences out to Arthur Jones and his family. Cam Newton's comments about Lamar that I thought were interesting. Mina Kimes weighing in on the deadline. Where the Ravens are at going into Houston. Lamar officially being ruled out along with several others. It's all open right now. Julian, you're up first, brother. Talk to me, bro. How you doing, dude?
We got to remember.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, I see that lid. I see that lid.
Talk to me about it later, Marty.
Looking
talk
clean.
to my nephew. My bad, Bobby. I'll talk to my nephew. Yeah, it came today as soon as I got back in the house. So, got the merch. So
you're looking clean, man. I absolutely love it, and thank you for rocking that.
Yeah, definitely. I appreciate it. Just want to start this off with saying rest in peace to Arthur Jones. I ain't gonna lie, that caught me off guard because I was looking at my phone when I was coming in the house, and then somebody was like, "Oh, Arthur Jones, this thing." I'm like, "What's going on?" Then I clicked on your live stream, and then it popped up on my phone. I was like, "Oh man, really? Seriously, what is going on?"
Jewel, are we losing you? Are you with us, Jewel? Hey, why don't you turn Wi-Fi off and try it, and then call right back in, all right? Manny, you there, brother? Yeah, Arthur Jones passed, and we just learned within the last hour or so that the former Super Bowl champion and a former defensive tackle in Baltimore passed away at the age of 39 unexpectedly. Just a terrible, terrible way to start off this live stream. It came out of nowhere. I was totally caught off guard by it to start off this live stream, and obviously pivoted accordingly to celebrate him and his life. But this was the statement that the Ravens released earlier. So want to be sure to continue to send those condolences out there, make sure that we give it the attention that it deserves, and continue to celebrate the life of a former Raven, a Super Bowl champion, a former Syracuse standout, Arthur Jones, gone way too soon at 39. So Just want to make sure that those sentiments continue to be shared. And Jewel, let's just try that once more. I'm not sure what is going on. Maybe it's on my end. Maybe it's on yours. I'm looking at a black screen right now. What the heck's going on here? This guy. Manny, talk to me, brother.
First off, condolences to the Joneses family. So sad that it had to happen. On the second, I keep forgetting, but now I have to say it. The stop 22. It made me remember about Chuck. In 21.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was like, let's stop that 22 just in memory of him, man.
Yeah, and to be clear, we obviously don't know the cause, right? And so we're not speculating, but yeah, I mean, there's a reason why Eric Hill, comes in with those hashtags on a daily basis. I think it's incredibly noble and honorable of him, and obviously, the cause I'm sure will come out eventually here, and but obviously, as we both know, that's neither here nor there, and we just wish he and his family the best. And again, Arthur Jones, if you're just tuning in, guys, has passed away at the age of 39 unexpectedly. So we're celebrating his life a little bit and also talking about this upcoming game. So what do you got for us, Manny?
I'm with Mina. It doesn't matter if we get stars on the defense or on offensive line. You want to know why? Coaching.
Why?
It's coaching. It all comes down to coaching, because here's the thing. You already have the stars in the team. You already have the talent. Why is it not clicking? Comes from the top. So it doesn't matter if we get Thibodeau. It doesn't matter if we get the other two. If it's down to coaching, the issue, because they are tuned out. At this point, I feel like the team is tuned out. I saw it last night. What I could see about the game on San Francisco versus Rams. San Francisco is decimated with injuries, but I saw them players dogging it out, going to overtime, stopping the Rams on 4th and 1 for overtime in order for the game to end. They are decimated by injuries, but they're not tuned out. And the head coach was vivid on the sideline. When have we seen Harbaugh vivid on the sideline?
Shanahan put on a masterclass last night. All three phases were just – now, granted, look, I get it. The Rams had their fair share of issues, 2 turnovers, drops, missed field goal, right? There were issues there. But I think the sentiment is, as this graphic suggests, and I know I keep cutting to this. Everybody was pissed off at the vault, during our lunch hour because – Bobby 49er, Bobby San Fran. Shut the front door, okay? I'm trying to make a parallel here between the two, and that is a depleted team with their backs against the wall with no quarterback. And that's no disrespect. I shouldn't say that, because Mac Jones is going to get enough. What he's shown over the last few weeks, Manny, he's going to get his opportunity, I think, to lead another team in this league, much like Sam Darnold was able to resurrect his career in Minnesota and now is doing in Seattle. So this was a team that my point is, this was a team that had its backs against the wall. Clearly, as you can see on the screen, they were down significant bodies. And so the Ravens are as well. And while they have more key players down and are staring at a hole that they've dug themselves, unlike San Francisco, who was 3-1 going into last night, you get the point. They play with a ton of pride. They play with a chip on their shoulder. They stayed in the fight. They showed fight, there's been a lack of that, certainly, with the Ravens in recent weeks. Yes. And that's what they got to go do. That was the blueprint last night. The Ravens need to go take a page out of that and make it their own this weekend.
Yeah. And, more to Mina's point and to Cam, is like, it doesn't matter who you get. It's like, if the coaches are not, we see it with Todd, like you pointed out today on the vault, Monken versus Harbaugh, and just like Harbaugh is like cuddling Sack, but dude, you should be on Sack's face saying, "Hey, you're not up to snuff." If you're not up to snuff, I might just send you down back to linebackers coach and get Pagano in as defensive coach. Because at least he has the grit. If Harbaugh does his job on that sense, but I don't see cohesion within the coaching that trickles down to defense, offense. So I don't expect a win this weekend. Even if Lamar returns next week against the Rams, I'd rather have him back after the bye than on the Rams. So if coaching staff doesn't get it together, if Harbaugh doesn't get out of John Harbaugh's ways and gets into literally the Raven way. What's the Raven way? Smash mouth football.
I don't know actually right now.
No, it was actually dictated by Ray Lewis, Jonathan Ogden, and Ed Reed. It's smash mouth football. You run the ball down their throats, and with that, you got play action. We did it with Flacco in 2012 and in 2014. Gary Kubiak installed it back again with the running game. A non-Harbaugh choice. That looked outside from the outside in and said, "Oh, what is Ravens football? Smash mouth football. Run it down their throats." You got King Henry for that. I mean, statistics from last year: more than 20 carries, we win the game. Less than 20 carries, we drop a news egg. So,
thanks for the call, brother. You're the man.
Right.
Enjoy your weekend. I'll catch up with you on
that date.
Thanks. That was last night. No date anymore. I appreciate you, brother. You and I will catch up soon. And thank you guys for being with me today on this Friday. Lamar Jackson has officially been ruled out of this game, as you probably have learned and maybe weren't surprised by whatsoever. If you haven't been paying attention, there's 6 total players that have already been officially ruled out. Okay, the injury report just dropped within the hour. Okay, so Cheeto Awuzie will miss his first game as a Raven. Marlon Humphrey, Lamar, Emory Jones, Ricard, and Roquan, the other players that are ruled out of this contest. Questionable, Kyle Hamilton, Odafe Owe, Ronnie Stanley, and Devontae Walker. That means that Tyler Linderbaum, Travis Jones, Brent Urban, Kyle Van Noy, Nate Wiggins, no designation. They are good to go. So at least there's something to feel relatively, I guess, decent. I don't know what the right word is. Decent, optimistic, encouraged. I don't know, but take your pick. Guest lines are open. Happy Friday to everybody. Get to as many super chats as possible as they come in. If you could like the video for me, we'll go a long way. Jules, try to go back to you here. It might have been on me, but finish that thought. You were, celebrating Arthur Jones, and then you transitioned to talk about this game, and I'm not sure what direction you were headed in, so let me know.
Well, before everything got disconnected and everything, I think it was, like you said, it was on your end. I'm just gonna put it on there. But I was saying, right, rest in peace of Arthur Jones. I was just getting in the house when I found out about the news, and I was trying to check through my phone and look through everything and try to look at the injury report and see what we were gonna do. And then that caught me off guard. So how I see this game Sunday? Well, let's see. Like Manny, I'm not expecting a win. I mean, we could, if we stick to the running game, because that's what it's gonna have to take to win this game. Just running the ball. What concerns me is defensive pressure on the other side of the ball. That's what concerns me. I'm not seeing anything from Odafe Owe. I already said he's not there. We're not seeing anything from Ajabo. I mean, I don't know what's up with that. I mean, he's not it. Um, no inside pressure. You're not going to get that from Namdi, because uh, he's out for for the foreseeable future, and what's just to him. Um, so you just wonder where's that pass rush going to come from, and that's where I say we should definitely make a trade. And I think Kavion Thibodeau is one of the guys that you showed on the screen that we should go after. He's not. I haven't really seen too much of what he's doing over there with the Giants.
He's having a hell of a year.
He is okay.
Thibodeau's having a hell of a year.
Well, that's good. That's good. you make a trade from him. I don't know if EDC is going to be willing to give up a first rounder. I think he should. He's held on to these draft picks for as long as he can. We can tell. I think it's about time that we give up some of these draft picks and try to at least get some help in here. Because I mean, these injuries are starting, like we said, it was reminiscent of 2021, and I would say personally, this is more worse than 2021 because our expectations were the same back then in 2021, but it's more like this time is more like desperation, time. So it's
Take a
like,
look at what Tibbs has done. Tibbs,
mhm.
courtesy of Marshall Green on X, he put this graphic together showing just how productive he's been for, yes, what's otherwise been a very unproductive season win-loss record so far for the Giants. But they just made a move, of course, to bring in Jackson Dart to
Yeah,
their starting position. They benched Russell Wilson. But Tibbs on the other side of the football, as
he's
these
getting
numbers suggest, he has been a force. I read that he beefed up this offseason.
mm,
Somebody that was highly, highly touted coming out of
yeah,
college. So there you
yeah,
have it. Kayvon Thibodeau perhaps is a candidate. Don't know if they'd be willing to move on from him. And a lot can change between now and then. Jackson Dart might lead them on a run. You never know. I saw a spark with this team. I watched it because it was the
hmm
early game
yeah,
prior to the Ravens coming on 425 last week. He gave them a spark. I don't know if that spark will die off or
yeah,
be strong enough, if you will, to carry them for the next month or so, leading up
hmm
to when their front office has to make a decision. But just answering your hypothetical there, he's had a hell of a start to his season.
absolutely. I mean, I would definitely take a look at that guy because I think he was one of my like favorite players coming like into that draft that year. I mean, people had a lot of stuff to say about him being brash and cocky and whatever, arrogant, but he's backing it up with his play. Regardless. So I think if EDC makes that trade, I think that's going to be good for us. Now, also the secondary kind of concerns me. Who's going to be lined up against Nico Collins? I mean, that's going to be a mismatch. Whoever. I mean, I know Nate Wiggins is going to play. He's
Yes,
going to
he
gut
is.
it out. He practiced fully, didn't he?
Nate's good to
I
go.
think
Yeah.
he's good to go. Okay, so he's probably going to be lined up on Nico, and then you got TJ Tampa back there, and the young guys,
Tampa's going to
Kavion.
play, and Marlon's out obviously, and
Yeah,
Cheeto's out, so you're going to be calling on guys like Wiggs and
yeah,
Keon Martin
yeah,
and Tampa. I mean, it's time. It's time for
yeah,
TJ, right? What a hell of an opportunity
yeah,
for TJ Tampa.
yeah. Exactly. It's going to be a shit ton of practice squad guys we're going to see on the field Sunday. So it's going to be interesting. I'm going to still watch and see what happens. But I will say this: if they lose this game, their season is just teetering down at this point.
Yeah.
So they got a perfect opportunity at home, but they haven't really been protecting home like that. So it's on them. It's on them at this point. So
All right,
we'll see
brother.
what happens.
You're the man.
Oh,
Appreciate the
thank
call, Jewel. Have a great weekend. I'll catch up with you on Sunday, I'm sure. Guest lines are open, guys. Happy Friday to you. TLM Gaming in the on deck circle. Let's see what he does with his at bat in just a second here. But obviously, Sarah and I have shared this a couple times now. I'm pretty sure I had it on here yesterday, but it's so staggering that it's hard not to. Ben has here, right? The Ravens since 2024. Okay, they've allowed 42 completions of 20 plus air yards. That is, oh my God. Oh, and a lot of this is like a statistic that reflects a lack of pass rush. I recognize that. But they also have lost a lot of talent, including in the coaching staff. Denard Wilson goes to Tennessee to become their defensive coordinator. Mike Mack, we all know where he went. And we know where Anthony Weaver went after the 2023 AFC Championship run. But this is a number right here that has everything to do with a lack of personnel, a lack of leadership, and most importantly, a lack of pass rush consistently. That number is off the charts. Look at Green Bay. They're first on that list. The Ravens have more than double the amount of these plays than Green Bay, which has had the fewest. That is insane. Insane. Just while we're on the topic of pass rush, not that anybody, again, outside of some of the players that we've talked about that could be candidates, right? Nobody's coming to save them outside of maybe potentially a trade candidate or two that they could go after a month from tomorrow. Oh, good to see that Jaden Daniels for Washington's going to be back starting after missing a couple weeks. Former second-round pick Drake Jackson, okay, he's been cleared from his knee injury. And what do you know? The open door policy that's been at one winning drive is in effect. He's a defensive end. He was a second-round pick by San Francisco back in, again, 2022. Standout at USC, 6'4", 273. Career has not panned out the way he hoped it would. But Drake Jackson's going to be visiting the Ravens next week. A couple others on this list as well, Jets and Commanders. And my friend Ken McCusick put a couple thoughts out there. He's 24. He has not played, which is a key part of this, not played since week 8 of 2023. So again, not coming in to save this organization. But in his first 16 games, he had 6 sacks, an interception, and knocked down 8 passes at the line of scrimmage as a situational pass rusher for the 49ers. So again, you want to temper expectations, particularly given the time of year that we're in. But just so we're being thorough, that's where things stand right now with the open season when it comes to tryouts that this Ravens overall organization, particularly on the defensive side of the ball, is what's going on. Luke K says, Bobby is pushing this trade nonsense. Okay, Luke, let's see you draw my wrath. I think that's exactly what you've done today. You take Torres and Evans' position for the moment. Hey, Luke, this is a team that ranks dead last overall in most efficiency categories, okay? And just so we're being thorough, Luke, on this Friday, I love you, Luke. Just because we're being thorough, I'll rip those off for you, okay? Defensively, they rank 31st overall as a unit. They're giving up 406.8 yards per game, okay? 27th on the run. Luke, they're giving up 141 rushing yards. Hey, Luke, they're 31st in pass defense, 265 plus yards per game. They're dead last in scoring. They just lost their all-pro Nnamdi Madubuike, potentially forever. I don't want to speculate on that, but when it's the neck, it could be dire. We'll see. Nnamdi's been a force. He's got as many sacks as this entire team does collectively up front through 4 weeks, and he hasn't played in 2 weeks, okay? I could keep going on the categories, though, but I think you get the point. The Ravens need a guy, much like they needed a guy in the middle part of their defense back in 2022. And what did they do back in 2022? They were willing to give up second-round draft capital. That's unheard of in the Eric DeCosta era, to go and get Roquan Smith, who went on to become a perennial All-Pro. Has he been of late? No, he hasn't. But he came in and helped turn around that defense in 2022 and led a historic defense in 2023. The nonsense that you're referring to is actually very sensical for this team. They have to go and get a guy to try and salvage this season. And preferably it happens in the next couple of weeks. You can get one of these 2 games. You go into the bye, you lick your wounds, you get Lamar back, you get other key pieces of the defense back for week 8, and you come out surging down the second half stretch. It's not nonsense. It's the reality that your team, I assume you're a Ravens fan, is living in right now. You didn't deserve that, Luke, but there you go. Those are my thoughts. TLM, calm me down. Welcome into the channel.
What's up, Bubby?
Good to see you.
What's
bro.
up, bud? Nice seeing you again. This is like what, third? We're going 3 for 3 now.
Invoice me.
Okay.
All right. Invoice me.
Okay. I gotcha. Dre Jackson, I wouldn't mind signing him, but we should still also try to trade for a Justin Simmons or both Justin Simmons and Kayvon Thibodeau, with Dre Jackson coming in as well. But in my opinion, if we do pick up either Dre Jackson or Kayvon Thibodeau, I still think we should probably trade Adafia Owe and see if we can get some type of offensive lineman or sign another guard to the roster, not practice squad, roster. Because I still think Falele needs to go too. That's where I feel like the Ravens could.
You know what's going to happen with. You know what's going to happen with Adafe? I think something's going to happen like you saw with Judon. Now, granted, Matthew Judon's final year in Baltimore was pretty stud-like, which is why the Patriots paid him the bag, right?
Yeah.
I could see, even though Adafe's off to a extremely underwhelming start to his season. This dude played less than 50% of the snaps last week. So, and that's with the amount of injury. There was no KVN. Like that's problematic. And so if that continues for him, I could see him going elsewhere. The Ravens saying, hey, you know what? Like, we got Mike Green. We want to continue to develop him. We're going to go out and sign, you know, a Band-Aid guy. And again, I don't mean, everybody thinks sometimes they don't like the Band-Aid term attached to Kyle Van Noy. I don't mean anything disrespect by it whatsoever. It's simply, he's 33 years old. Like, he's not going to be here in a year or two. I think that's probably realistic to say. So I could see them going to get another veteran to be that kind of like Justin Houston type guy, Kyle Van Noy type guy.
Sure.
But I could totally see Adafe going on to realize all the potential elsewhere. And that's no disrespect to Chuck Smith. I think Chuck Smith is an exceptional specialist. I do. But for whatever reason, this is a unit that, while it's ranked in the top 3 the last 2 years in sacks, when you need it the most, it's not there. And you know that better than most. So finish that thought. I'm sorry.
Oh, no, you're good. They're just building off of what you just said there. They're just like the Avatar in The Last Airbender. When the world needed them most, they vanished. But yeah, I'm not. It's no disrespect to Adafia Owe. I could still see, if we do offload him, he will go succeed. But I don't think that he's going to get what he's looking for here if we keep on continuing down this slope. That's why I'm saying, I think it would be mutually beneficial. Offload some draft picks, pick up 1 to 2 defensive linemen, but also offload either Adafia Owe or David Ajabo, because one of those two, I don't see one of those two people not being a trade option before the deadline for some draft capital. If we do trade.
Hold on now. I got to stop you on one thing there. Ajabo ain't no trade option.
Oh yeah, cut.
you look, again, this is never personal about players, right? Let me be clear. David Ajabo is not a trade candidate, because the problem with David Ajabo is that he hasn't done anything that's candidacy worthy, and that's the problem. Even with Adafe, you could have people out there when it comes to opposing front offices or other front offices around the league that are edge needy, saying to themselves, nah, like, you see the interior presence that he was able to get? He stole all those Nnamdi Madubuike sacks last year en route to his first double-digit sack campaign. Like, there may not be a lot of people that are wowed by Adafe Owe and his development at this point in his career. And with Ajabo, quite frankly, I feel terrible for the guy, because he just hasn't been able to stay available. But now that he has stayed healthy and available, he hasn't gotten his name called, hasn't had his number called. There's been a couple flashes for him, but for whatever reason, he has not been able to put it all together technique-wise, motor-wise, health-wise, and that's a darn shame, because I think we all know that prior to his Achilles tear, that dude would have been a first-rounder.
100% on that one for sure, but something has to change. I think, in my opinion, the Ravens need to mix it up. And I don't want to sit here and say we need to bench some guys in favor of some others. But like you said, 50% of the snaps for David Ajabo, I feel like it should be a little bit higher on the snaps, and on Adafia Owe. They should get the snaps. But after this week, depending if the Ravens win it or not, I still think the Ravens are going to get the job done. It's probably going to be close, but if coaching's on point, we're going to win it. But they need to change it up on that defensive pass rush, interior and exterior.
It's a defining moment for Harbaugh and this staff. It's not going to define legacy. All right, he's a Super Bowl champion, potentially one day a Hall of Famer. But this will be a moment in time. This will define a moment in time towards the end, and what maybe is the loudest it's been ever in the Lamar era at John Harbaugh. It's loud. How will they respond? How will the second, third, and fourth stringers respond at some point? They could potentially get to that point in terms of personnel coming up on Sunday. And will they play with an edge, a certain fight we have not seen in recent weeks that's we've grown accustomed to seeing for 30 years when it comes to Ravens football. So, TLM, thanks for the call,
They
brother.
need that
Enjoy
fight.
your weekend, man.
You too, Bobby. Take it easy, bud.
Thanks for the call. You too. All right, guys. Good stuff. Over 800 of you hanging out with me on this Friday. I will have pregame coverage, of course, at 11 a.m. on Sunday leading into this one. If you haven't already joined the Bobby Baltimore Discord server, I would love for you to do so. I've told you a lot about it in recent weeks, recent months, recent years, and we are coming up on 970 members. Looks like Flores here, or is it Aris or Aris? Aris? I don't know. Flores became member number 962. Magnic was 962. I don't know how that happened. Somebody must have left the group. I don't know who that could have been. Actually, you know what? I think I know who it was. Yep, I know who it was. Never mind. But would love for you guys to join the group. We're coming up on that 1,000 count number. And if you'd like to join, it is free to do so right now. I'm dropping it in the live chat. It's a pinned comment right now. Great community. We talk a number of different things, including Ravens football all day long. Let's see who's mentioning me in the general chat. Romy says, have you heard from Douglas lately? I actually haven't. Douglas H. Brown Sr. Wait, where is Douglas? Yeah, it's been a few days since we've seen him in the live chat, isn't it? On the vault side of things. That's correct. Huh. I wonder what that's all about. Bobby After Dark, what's going on in here? Oh, I left everybody on a cliffhanger. I'm sorry. I got to get back in there and give a little bit of clarity in terms of what's going on in my dating life, but it is active and vibrant down here in St. Petersburg, Florida. I promise you that, which was part of the reason that motivated me in the first place to move here. Guys, I appreciate you. Fantastic week and weekend, hopefully, that you guys have coming up. Thank you so much for spending some time with us, both on the vault and here. If you could like the video, subscribe, hit that notification bell, consider becoming a channel member or gift-giving membership. And join me on Sunday, 11 a.m. for pregame coverage. Sarah and I will have postgame coverage on the vault at 5 o'clock. Thanks, guys. Catch up with you soon. Enjoy it.